Hello. Today we will delve into a different kind of legacy that each of us receives. Not about money or houses, but something that shapes every aspect of our lives. I'm talking about DNA, a complex and fascinating code that we inherit from our ancestors. DNA can be compared to a vast instruction manual that determines how all living organisms develop and function. Every cell in our body contains a complete copy of our DNA, meaning that every cell has all the information needed to create a whole human. Did you know that human DNA is similar to the DNA of other organisms? For example, humans share about 60% of their DNA with bananas, 80% with cows, and only 2% of our DNA differs from that of chimpanzees. Those 2% gave us Einstein, Nobel, and Jack the Ripper. Who do we inherit our genes from? At what point are characteristics such as eye color, hair color, and temperament programmed? Although all humans share over 99% of their DNA, the remaining 1% is responsible for all our unique traits, such as eye color, hair color, and other physical differences, as well as, to some extent, differences in our health. Let's assume that each human trait is like a color in a painting, and genes are the types of paint we mix to achieve that color. Each of us receives one can of paint for each trait from our parents, one gene from mom and one from dad. Dominant genes are like paints with very intense colors. Even a small amount of such paint can dominate the entire mixture. For example, if you have a dominant gene for dark hair from one parent, this gene will cover the influence of the light paint from the other parent, and as a result, you will have dark hair. Recessive genes are like very delicate, subtle paints that are visible only when both cans of paint from mom and dad are of the same type. For example, blue eyes are like a light blue, delicate paint. To have blue eyes, you need to have light blue paint from both parents. Otherwise, a stronger color from another dominant gene will dominate the mix. During the creation of egg and sperm cells, each parent randomly passes on a can of paint for each trait. The randomly selected gene ensures our uniqueness. That's why each of us is different, even if sometimes we greatly resemble our parents. When an egg is fertilized by a sperm, these cans combine, creating a new, unique set of paints for the child. When two gametes, one from the mother and one from the father, combine, they create a theoretical number of about 70 trillion different genetic combinations in each new individual. Do we inherit genes from all our ancestors? Each of your parents passed on half of their genes to you, but they also received their genes from their own parents, your grandparents, who in turn passed on half of their genes to them, and so on, back through the generations. In theory, it sounds like you would have genes from all your ancestors, but in practice it's a bit more complicated. With each generation, the amount of genes you receive from a specific ancestor decreases. Therefore, you do not have identical copies of all the genes of every one of your ancestors. For example, you have about 25% of your genes from each of your grandparents, about 12.5% from your great-grandparents, and so on. The further back you go in your family tree, the smaller the percentage of genes you have from each ancestor. Additionally, due to the way genes are mixed and passed down from generation to generation, some genes may drop out and not be passed on, while others are preserved. Personality trait inheritance. Personality traits such as extroversion, tendency to be nervous, or openness to experiences are partly genetically determined. Research suggests that genetics may account for about 40–60% of our personality. The remaining part is shaped by our experiences, upbringing, environment, and other non-material factors. day, many spontaneous mutations occur in our DNA. Most of these are neutral, but some can lead to diseases, while others may be beneficial. It is these beneficial mutations that drive evolution, allowing organisms to better adapt to changing environments. Did you know that if we stretched out the DNA from a single human cell, it would reach about 2 meters in length? Considering that there are approximately 37.2 trillion cells in the human body, the total length of DNA in one human body could theoretically reach 10 billion miles. That's enough to travel to the sun and back more than 100 times. Thank you for joining us on today's journey through the intricacies of DNA. Remember, each of us carries a code that is both a bridge to our past and a map of potential futures. What secrets still lie hidden in our genes? What can the science of genetics tell us about ourselves and the world around us? If you enjoyed this video and would like to learn more about genetics or other fascinating topics, don't forget to click the subscribe button. Let us know in the comments what you found most interesting and what other topics you would like us to explore in the future. Feel free to watch our other videos to continue discovering science with us. Thanks for watching and see you soon.